Okay, Jackson County, Missouri, where it all started, and my my father was in the grocery business, and about the time that most of the kids, there were four of us, we were 12 years old. We were introduced to working in the grocery business. Joined in September of 1961, and my first assignment for basic training was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And if you know anything about the Army, they always give you a choice. I say they give you a choice, you know how that goes. And I put down, I had a friend that had joined earlier, and he became a helicopter mechanic, and he was stationed down in Marietta, Georgia. And I thought, well, I think I'd like to do that. So that's what I put down. That was my first choice. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember what the other two were, but I didn't get my first choice. I ended up in going to the wheeled vehicle mechanic school. So that's the Army thinking. They're going to let you fix something. Oh, basic training was, I'm telling you, was an adventure. It was an adventure. We had guys that were old timers, Korean War veterans, some of them even World War II. They'd been around that long, but most of them were Korean War veterans. And I never will forget one situation. I was talking to our platoon sergeant that day, and I told him, Sarge, they'd issue you field gear whenever you got to a unit. Of course, when you went in, you got everything new. But then, when you got to a regular unit, they give you other duplicate stuff that you can get dirty and tear up and all this kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, Sarge, you know, I mean, you'd think that they could give me a better jacket than this. It's a field jacket. And it had 4 or 5 little 1-inch squares all over the jacket. And I said, look at this thing. I said, it's moth-eaten or something. They patched these holes. He said, those aren't moth holes. Those are bullet holes. And of course, you know, hey, they fight a war. They pick up all that stuff off the battlefield. It's recycled and stuff like that. And that's just the way it goes on. And I remember one of them, they said, now, you go to bed at night, you put your valuables in that pillowcase and slide it all the way to the back. And I thought, wow, you know, golly, why would I have to do that? Well, the guy, I woke up one night and the guy that had the bunk below me was in my pillowcase trying to get my billfold. Happened in the fall of '62 was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So there we were right down there at Fort Benning, Georgia, and that was the headquarters of all of the effort put forth in whatever they planned to do on that. But everything went through there. Everybody was brought up to stuff, trained for this, trained for that, and all that. People all over the country coming in. And then from there, they would go to South Florida. That would have been the jump-off point for the invasion of Cuba. So my driver's license came back into play during that time. And they came down one day, they said, can anybody drive? Anybody got a government driver's license? Well, yeah, I got one. So there was a couple more, and so we went down to Lawson Field, and we stayed down there, and we worked 24 hours off, and then a couple days or on, and 48 off. And we were just constantly picking up people coming in from all over the country, high-ranking brass and everybody that was involved in planning this invasion and all that. I got orders for January of '63 to report to Fort Walters, Texas, which is down in Mineral Wells. It's west of Dallas. And so I went down there, and that was the primary school for helicopters. So of course the first 4 weeks are what they call was warrant officer indoctrination training, you know, the whole kind of like going through basic training again and all that kind of stuff. and but more intense. Lord, I tell you what, it was something else. But and then flying. Well, I got about 17, 18 hours, and I had a check ride, and I got a rotor over speed on the check ride, and that was enough to get me washed out. The day room had TV, news. We saw the news all the time, and I was there in. I was at Schofield Barracks when they shot Kennedy in November 1963. I enjoyed the Army. I really did. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and I think probably part of it was the fact that I was able to move around quite a bit during the time I was in. Even when I got over to Hawaii, I went from one unit to another in about half that time, so it worked out pretty good. But the Army, I think it just reinforced that need to have a lot of discipline, self-discipline, because you didn't know what was going to happen next, and it got you to start thinking ahead and not just letting the dice roll every day or every minute of the day. And I would recommend it. I would recommend it for everybody. I stepped out and went in business for myself, and that's what I did for the next 23 years. I was unemployed. If I didn't sell anything that day, there was no money coming in. That's the way it worked. And eventually, we had an office in Atlanta, had one in Enterprise, Alabama, Tupelo, Mississippi, Turlock, California, and we had a remote office here in Alma, besides our office. And what I did was finance these other people that were brokers doing the same thing I was doing. I think our best year down here was probably somewhere around maybe 2003 or 4. That our sales were right at $70 million. He told me about the Hall of Fame, and he gave me some information on that, and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting.
This is the Arkansas
Military Veterans Hall of Fame, and but I didn't have time yet to get involved in that because I was winding down. You know, I'd already targeted, hey, I'm getting out of business here before long, this and that, and so, and then I had people chasing me to be mayor. Golly, I tell you. There's just a tremendous number of people out there that have gone way beyond, you know. And their story needs to be told. I joined American Legion in 1972. So I've been in American Legion over 50 years. And in 4 different states. But there's a lot of times I couldn't get involved because of the business and that stuff. But the American Legion, to me, number one, it was the biggest veterans organization. So that became the reason back in '72 to join. And they still maintain that presence. They're still the biggest organization. I never had a problem at all. I never had a problem at all with people. You know, it was, and I thought, well, it's kind of an unfair situation, really. And you can tell somebody that's got their head on straight if they've been around it for a while and they're saying, hey, I like this ROTC deal. I like this. It fits, you know. And I always found the kids even going down there at the Boys and Girls Club and subbing in schools. They just need somebody to give them some direction. That's what they want. They want to know what to do. They want to quit guessing and take some of that out of them. And I told them, I said, yeah. I said, name something else you can get somebody to pay for your college. Everybody's got their own outlook on life, this and that, but I've had one heck of a time. I've stayed busy. I think I've been able to help a few people, you know, along the way. But it certainly has been interesting, you know. Sometimes you never know. You think I'm just like some of them other guys. I never did anything. But, you know, there's been a lot. Been a lot happen.